you know, overall GOAT in every way, shape, or form, my man FernoSpazzin. What's going on?
Ferno, you spazzing.
It's good, Carl. Appreciate that introduction.
Yeah, of course. True too. I always drop in the Instagram comments. I always drop on the YouTube videos.
Of course, yeah.
We do next. And you're one that pops up every single time, and really good company too. You, Trey Gillum was one, Flex on the beat, Ronnie Luciano, but Ferno's definitely up there. So like I said, by popular demand. But yeah, let's take it back all the way from the beginning. How did it kind of all start off for you? How'd you get into it? Where are you from? You know, kick it off for us.
So yeah, I'm from Miami. Love my city. Grew up there, was born there. Parents were from there. Well, my mom is Mexican and my dad's from America. I got into music because I got music all in my family. My grandfather played the bassoon for 40 years. I came from Italy. Played the bassoon so well, made it, got to go teach at the University of Miami all the way from Italy, which is dope. You know, he then taught my mom how to play violin. She played for 25 years. So when I was growing up, my mom taught me how to play classical piano. And I practiced all the way until basically when I was in kindergarten. So I was 7 or 8. And then I learned classical piano. So I'm talking Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, all that, Chopin. And I stopped in 8th grade because by the time I got to 8th grade, you know, I'm like, this is so lame. Like I was listening to rap by then. I was listening to Future, all that, right? And that was when I first downloaded. I had actually downloaded FL Studio a few years prior because I've always been a huge computer nerd. I think being a computer nerd for me and having like good computer literacy has always helped me on FL Studio and composing, really, because I used to play a lot of video games, but then FL Studio kind of became my video game.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. But shit, it was kind of I had it downloaded, but in 8th grade I really started playing with it. I would play with, you know, kind of making some EDM stuff sometimes, but by 9th grade I was finally making trap beats. You know, but at a kind of a critical point in September 2019, and that's when I rebranded and I really I call myself FernoSpazzin. I started making loops and I kind of found the whole industry, because prior to that I was really just kind of focused on trying to make a sale on BeatStars. I didn't even really know a lot about the industry. I think I was so young that my mind never even realized that I could be pursuing bigger things. But by the time I got to that age, I was ready to start chasing some placements, you know?
Definitely. No, that's crazy. I mean, there's a lot of really cool information there on how you maneuvered. Also, just insane. Your family did music for all that time just for you to say, forget this, it's boring, when you got to 8th grade.
And what's crazy though is that, you know, if it wasn't for them in my classical training, I wouldn't be the producer I am, of course. And what I do to counter that now is, now that I know my classical theory, I spend my time really learning jazz theory and jazz composition, because it's the other key component. So I'm leveraging what I have and the blessings that I do have, a very musical family, and trying to now improve on this in the parts that I don't, and also innovate in this new world of digital composition on computers, because the computer is an instrument. It's absolutely an instrument.
Definitely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You touched on something that was interesting, was a turning point in 2019.
Yeah.
When you rebranded to FernoSpazzin and started, you know, focusing on loops and things like that. First of all, how did the name FernoSpazzin come to be?
So my name is Dante. And there's a very popular, my parents named me after the poet Dante Alighieri, wrote the poem Dante's Inferno. When I was younger, I would go by the name Inferno, like DJ, like Inferno, right? Yeah. I wasn't ever serious about my music back then, though. So it's kind of just, it was a nickname, right? But in 2019, I really said, you know, this isn't going to work, because I didn't think the name was niche enough. There are too many things called Inferno already. You know, if you said the word Inferno, I don't think people would think of an artist or a producer. But when I cut it down to Ferno and added the Spazzin, it adds a little flair, and I was happy with that. And you know, finding a name is interesting, because if you're not fully confident in your name, I don't think you can be 100% on go mode and really confident in yourself and your work. So that rebranding really helped me like kick into action. I'd say it helped me lock in for real.
Yeah, definitely. It was kind of like the point to kick it all off. But yeah, staying on that 2019 moment when you kind of rebranded, you know, officially solidified yourself as FernoSpazzin and started moving a different way. Like I said before, loop making was something that you kind of jumped right into at that point, and kind of was something you used to excel FernoSpazzin as a whole. What was that kind of like? Because I feel like it can kind of be a little like daunting. How did you start doing it, and what do you do now to make sure you're always staying unique and relevant?
So I think it was definitely daunting. And I have a cool story about this. And because my friend had asked me, and we were having a deep talk the other day, and he said, well, he said, Dante, what was your critical point? Like, what was the day you really started seeing, like, we really got into it? And I remember, it was the beginning of the school year that year. I was 16 still, and my mom and I got into a fight, and she roasted one of my beats. She roasted the 808 one of my beats, and I was like, that hurt my feelings a lot, but she was damn right. And she said some things about music that I was like, you know what? Like, honestly, I'm going to listen to you. And I had a moment where that night, I sat down and I said, you know what? I'm going to improve now. I'm going to start working on the things that I don't know how to do. And I was insecure about my producing because I was relying too heavily on loops, and I didn't know how to I realized I didn't have a way to really stand out. What made my beats different from someone else's beats? Because at the end of the day, I didn't have these connections. I couldn't go out into the real world like that, like some other people could. I was still 16 too. I barely knew about an industry. So that was the day I said, you know what, screw it. I don't care how much of an uphill battle it is. It's either all in on, I'm going to learn this skill, this how to make loops, or I got to figure out something else. So right around that time, started 2019, those first 4 weeks in September was the beginning of, I downloaded VSTs, my Omnisphere was ready to go, my contact bank started playing, started connecting with other loop makers. I started finding, some of the homies that I work with to this day were found in that month or two, and that was just it's like fundamental month for everything I've done since.
Amazing. Now I feel like some people could look at it as something that's oversaturated, where, the top biggest producers who primarily focus on drums that are connected to artists are getting sent, hundreds, thousands, so many loops on a day-to-day basis. For you've always done a really good job of navigating two things. One, who you choose to work with and kind of like, make sure you're connected to, but also just staying relevant with the loops you're making and everything like that. As far as the actual loops goes, like, what's some advice you have to people up and coming when the market is so overcrowded? How do you kind of stay relevant and unique with all this stuff coming into a lot of these bigger producers?
So you got to learn how to adapt to the wave, and you have to really be self-aware of your position in the industry, how big you are. You got to know what your skills are, what your talents. You got to know yourself well first, because the truth is, when you're smaller starting out, right, this is something that I did. You're going to have a lot more success, making loops that are niche, that are one area, like, for example, like guitar loops, right? If you focus only on guitar loops when you're starting out, you can kind of build a niche, and you can get a niche following. And to really, what you need when you start to screw out is you need people that really care about your loops and care about you. And if you're all over the place, making stuff that's all over the place, it's kind of hard to find, a small fan base of people who are all on the same wave as you, right? And that's my advice for this, that, if you're starting out. But at one point I had to adapt. I said, I'm not going to lock myself in a box forever. I want to improve. So I spend my time now never worrying about what the current wave is, what the current trend is. I really, I'm always paying attention to that. But when I'm working, I'm focusing on my fundamentals. I'm focusing on my theory. I'm focusing on learning, just practicing guitar, thinking of messing around, new chord progressions. I'm downloading new effects. I'm learning how these effects work. I'm trying to be a real composer. I'm not trying to just get a quick bag. I'm not a trend. I'm not trying to, work to be relevant for another year or two. I want to be around forever. So I'm working on my compositional skills, the stuff that I mentioned,
100%. Yeah. And I gotta back you on that for sure. Ferno and I have had a lot of different conversations behind the scenes or whatever. Even just him teaching me how to navigate some of the stuff. I'm looking around like, what the hell is going on around here? What is this, that, and the third? But Ferno's someone I could call up, but take note, focus on, how many times he's considering the compositions he's making, the composer he is, trying to, continue to amplify what he has going on in that realm for sure.
It's always about balancing, you know, the view of what are you doing now to make yourself better in the future, and think about, you know, you got to split 50% is thinking about the bigger picture, 50% is focusing on the now. What are you going to do, you know, to help yourself in 6 months, like that, right? Because the industry is slow. The industry is super slow. So if you're constantly working for yourself, you're going to start, and it just starts coming, you know?
100%. Another kind of, you know, obviously play to the whole loop making craft is you can definitely have the best loops of all time, but if you have no one to send them to, no one to work with, no outlet for them, you know, they're just going to sit there and it's meaningless altogether. You've done a really good job of, you know, teaming up and associating yourself with certain producers, whether it's you guys making some tight beats on YouTube that end up going extremely viral, millions and millions of views, which million views on a tight beat is crazy. Or, you know, different people that, you know, you guys have worked together to make some incredible tracks that end up getting placed. Speak to that a little bit, like how you kind of looked for who you were going to associate yourself with. And you're someone who to this day is big on sticking with your day ones. A lot of producers switch up as soon as they start to climb, but you've definitely stuck with your day one. Speak to that a little bit.
And I'm definitely not perfect, yo. I'm not. I think when I first started producing, you know, I was even for the first 12 months after September, you know, even into 2020, before I caught my first big placements, though, it was hard because I was constantly learning stuff. You know, it was still my first year of being in the industry and networking almost. And people don't teach you how to network, so it's hard. I had to navigate. You know, sometimes I did some silly stuff. You know, I burned some bridges on accident, and the truth is, like, I work with people that I have genuine connections with. You know, I work with the producers that I like, that have never done some slimy stuff. I pay attention to the whole scene, to people that I think are unique, who are doing, you know, I look for people that, you know, are going to have a good future, that are in this for the long run, like people that love the music and stuff. And the one thing I can't say is I've never, all these million type, all these, you know, the big type beats with millions of views on YouTube, the placements, they haven't come from me sending out a big BCC loop email. So to all my wannabe loop makers, yo, it needs to stop. It really does. Because if you don't actually know the person, like, it's not, you're not going to land it. It's so much better to be able to start, you know, building a genuine connection with the people, you know, that you like. And the truth is, a lot of guys get discouraged because they want to just shoot and try and hit up Jetson, you know, on their first pack that they make. And it's like, you know, you got to find people that are still at your level, that you want to work with and grow with together. You know, I did that with my boy George. Start a season, we came up from the mud together, you know, and that's my homie. And it was cool because when I first started working with him, I just got introduced to him from a mutual friend, loved his sauce, loved the vibe, and wanted to grow with him. And it's so crazy to look at where we come from, because some of the first beat we ever made was, you know, July 2019. And to look at 2021, it's like, wow, like, you know, that's the way it's got to be. And that's why now I really try to make sure to stick with my day ones. I'm sure, you know, Consent 2K, Nashi, first people to ever use my loop pack, you know, that gave me a lot of encouragement. I really appreciate them for that. And for keeping me motivated back then. And I want to touch on, you know, meeting new people now. For me, I just try to work with anybody, even I try to work with anybody that's doing something unique. And I like talking to people, you know, like if there's someone a musician I like, you know, I try to FaceTime them off the bat. I want to talk to them, catch the vibe, you know, because music is all about connections for me. It's absolutely changed my life. 100%. The people that I've met in this are amazing. You know, I don't know what I would be without the people I've met and all that.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. There's just so many people who we've worked together on different things that have become, you know, amazing friends. You listed 3 absolute goats in my book. Anybody
for sure.
Anybody who already knows them, make sure you go back and get re-familiar. If you don't know them, check them out. Stardust season, absolute goat. You and him got NLE Choppa stuff together, stuff with Tory Lane, stuff with
that book with that no
that no A Boogie and Flip Dinero. You guys got too much together. You know, shout out Nashi, absolute goat, platinum Broadway ghetto gospel, and, you know, over 3 times platinum at this point with the Stay Solid Rocky Party Girl single, Consent as well. Really doing his thing. He's got some of the biggest songs out right now in Germany, and he's also platinum, in the US, among a lot of other places, with Rod Wave's Ghetto Gospel album as well. Some really, really good guys who are always down to like, lend a hand and like pull other people up with them when they had, a little bit of a platform before others did. So can't speak enough to them. Really, really cool for you to shine some light on that. Yeah, I mean, the BCC Loopmaker stuff is crazy because I feel like it's definitely getting out of hand. But let's take it like this, right? That's definitely a big no in the book of FernoSpazzin. But let's say you are a loop maker who isn't connected to anybody, you're sitting on some loops, whatever. What's the best way that you would go about kind of trying to like introducing yourself to someone to where it can get to a point that you can email them stuff and they'll at least check it out?
Yeah. So okay, this is kind of cool because first you need to, there's one key requirement you need to have. If you're a small loop maker, you're gonna make it, you gotta have patience, because I mean, if you can't wait, you're gonna start acting up. You're gonna do the wrong things. You're gonna start trying to find ways to cheat it. You're gonna spam. You might come off annoying. So key, be patient. Now, actually, so what we're doing. I've never sent out a BCC email to a list of random people like that I've like that's not gonna work. But I have, especially when I was starting out. I would reach with first time connects. I'd be sending packs to people who I knew they knew me because I was kind of in the DMs. They gave me their email, but I didn't know if they were going to mess with me. And I didn't want to spam them either. But I think the key is that you need to find people that you can actually, because you got to find people that will actually open your messages. So if you're small starting out, find other producers that want to work with you, whoever, because you never know who they're going to know and what great things you're going to make and the people you start meeting, because it's a snowball. It's a complete snowball. When you start meeting the right people, you're going to have open your own doors to meeting the next right person. And before you know it, you don't even care about trying to get to the original person you want anymore, because you're just meeting cool people that you want to work with. And all of a sudden, imagine one of your you could blow up, one of your buddies could blow up. Like, it's all up, build people around you that you like, that you can work with well, that are loyal, all that, because it's completely possible. But you got to be patient, because you do have to start with people that aren't crazy established. There's no magic hack to be able to get in anyone's DM,
Absolutely. This is, the major key loop making wise is patience. You heard it here, exclusive from FernoSpazzin. But this is something that's an underlying, similar message when it comes to every single one we did. And at this point, as far as the producer room, producer culture interviews go, you've now heard this from Forever Rolling. You've now heard this from Energy. You've now heard this from TP808s. You've now heard it from Ferno, countless others. Like, this staying down and building with what's around you is the way. And like he said, it'll definitely take some patience, but he kind of spoke to cheating the system a little bit, as some people do. You might be someone who gets lucky and your loop somehow ends up in the hands of this producer and it ends up on this big song. But does that really help you in the long run? I mean, I don't know. You tell me.
No, for real. And I can't speak exactly on details of this, but never ever, way before I was Ferno, never ever did cheating the system work for me. And that's why I said, you know what? I'm hustling because it's this or nothing,
Absolutely. Absolutely. You spoke to something that I gotta just tell you. I mean, it's my opinion, doesn't mean it has to be fact, but when you said you're moving a little more silently as far as like the business and this, that, and the third goes, like I said, my opinion, but I cannot agree with that more. Like, I think it is really like, and I understand why people do it, because you're trying to show people that something you're talking about is real. But like, if a artist hits you up and is like, yo, I need the stems or the track outs for this, that, and you immediately screenshot it and post it on your story, like,
that's the worst.
I get why you're doing it. You've been talking about how you've been, making beats for so and so, and now it's coming to fruition. So you're going to show that off. But I'm going to tell you, typically, and I think 95+% of the time, if you're making beats for so and so, because someone from their camp taps in or whatever, and then somebody hits you and says, yo, we need the track outs for this, that, and the third, you screenshot that and post it on your story to show the world that this actually worked. In my opinion, one of two things is going to happen. That placement's not going to happen anymore because now you look goofy to those people. Or two, that placement will still happen, but you're done. Like they're not going to open anything else up that you send now, because you just look like you're extremely thirsty for clout.
Now it is, here's the, I think we all fall victim to that naturally. It's human nature, and we're proud of our own successes. Really, it's there. I don't blame anybody for doing it. I really don't. And I see it, and it kills me when I see people that I like doing it. But
Right.
it's fine because I understand it. We've all been there. It's a great feeling, it's a great music is awesome because these are real accomplishments. It's stuff that you're passionate about, really, and you want to share it to the people that would care about it. But it's a skill you have to learn, moving in silence, and you get better at it as time goes on, definitely. But it's just better because the truth is, the right people are going to tap in with you if you have that opportunity. It's going to happen. You just you don't want to show the people that have bad intentions, that you don't want anybody to get in there and mess up your vibe, or what you're doing. So
Yeah, 100%. And let me correct myself and say, I think a lot of it depends on the relationship you have with a specific person. You might be with
oh,
so and
absolutely.
so, you might be with so and so who's a top tier artist every day. They DM you something, you post it, it might be nothing, but if this isn't somebody that you're directly connected to and it kind of came to be, I mean, let it come out, let it release, share it with the world at that point. Because that moment is equally as cool, you know.
Exactly. And yeah, exactly. And also it's going to be better than the moment where you like get the screenshot, or
Yeah,
like, so,
that
but
moment's
well
equally as
said, well
cool.
said.
Yeah, that moment is equally as cool when it's like, you guys remember I was talking about working with so and so. You didn't want to send me loops for this or that because you thought it wasn't gonna happen. Well, boom, the song's out now. Like that moment's equally as cool. It might even be more cool. But yeah, social media is crazy, man. People are on social media going insane. If you gotta share it, start a close friends with the people you can trust. Just post it in there, or
That's
share
the
it.
way to do it. I see a lot of my friends, my homies do that, and it's a good way because those are the type of people that aren't going to do anything. They're in the industry.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, yeah, I mean, kind of continuing on the social media steps, you know, Twitter is a good place to kind of continue to amplify what your brand already is that you've kind of built
Mhm.
up on Instagram or wherever else. You spoke to YouTube as well. You've definitely done a really good job of making sure FernoSpazzin was known on YouTube before you actually had a channel. But then even when you did have a channel, you built it up pretty quickly. And I feel like you're somebody who, granted, nobody has it, mastered, but you've done a good job of kind of tapping into and figuring out the algorithms to how you can kind of like coast and ride in certain different ways. Speak to kind of some of your success on YouTube and how you built it up.
I have a little extra experience on YouTube because, like I told you earlier at the beginning, I've been making beats for 4 years. So obviously you can't find this anymore on YouTube, but I did have a channel where I posted like 3 or 4 beats, and another one where I posted, at least 20 or 25 before I was FernoSpazzin.
Mhm.
So I had that prior experience. I obviously have experience now, but the truth is YouTube blowing up, suggested views, YouTube's algorithm, it's a lot more luck. You got to kind of get lucky, but then more lucky than I've noticed on Twitter. Twitter, rewards if it's viral content. That's to your own discretion, but I mean, when something's viral content. But YouTube's algorithm works a lot differently because YouTube, they care about watch time. Type beats are it's a weird, definitely weird topic for YouTube. So my approach was, okay, obviously make a channel. I love posting on there. I view my YouTube channel and stuff as more of like my art projects, like my showcase, like, and it's lovely. I love seeing, I got my day ones on there, and I got good feedback on there. It's fun. Whereas, then the way I gain the algorithm is I like to have my name popping, via any form of content I can on YouTube. I want videos that have my name in it that are going crazy, because in the technical side of things, the more YouTube videos have my name on it, have my content, the algorithm starts recognizing people care about Ferno. So videos that just have Ferno or relate in it, related to in the description, who knows, whatever, producer related, music related, YouTube starts rewarding those videos in the algorithm and giving them more views. And that's how I kind of get trends going. That was awesome about my type beats, is that for a little bit you could kind of get a wave going on YouTube. With the waves definitely come and go. I've hit there's periods of time where YouTube goes crazy, you know, it calms down for a little bit and then it kind of goes crazy again. But it's all about staying consistent, making sure there's always stuff dropping under your name. Doesn't necessarily have to be on channel. If that's how if you're the type of guy who wants your own channel, run it that way. Plenty of people, you've seen plenty of people have their crazy YouTube channels. But for my approach, I want to know BS. I wanted to eliminate the luck factor as much as I could. So it was about getting my name, working on anything. Didn't matter. I was working on viral content. I was working on real stuff that I liked, music that was my homies, that I was chill and trying to get it on YouTube.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of kind of like universal parallels to that too. Your response actually reminds me of, there was a point in time back with like you know, the No Lie, Lil Wayne and 2 Chainz, the birthday song with 2 Chainz and Kanye West. He kind of had a similar answer when they were talking about the rise of 2 Chainz and like the name. And he was like, I wanted to work with so many different people to the point where you could Google somebody and 2 Chainz was always something that was there or like attached to it and requested. And you kind of said the same thing when it's like the algorithm's going to start to figure out that people care about stuff that's associated with Ferno.
It was always everything, you know, since day one, it's been about the bigger picture for me and trying to think about, you know, I don't want just one thing, one video, you know, I want to build a structure. I want to get that. I want to have a base, you know, wherever I can.
Yeah, I'll say too, I think you kind of look at it all from a 10,000 foot point of view rather than right in front of you what's going on right now, which is something that, you know, even I could take a little bit of that to incorporate it into my everyday life. And a lot of you know, producers as well, who everyone's just thinking about right now, tomorrow, whatever. Another really interesting thing for you is sometimes producers will catch a placement with, you know, this overseas artist in Italy or this person here, but they don't even really like think twice about it because they're so focused on, how do I get one with Lil Baby? How do I get one with Dirk? How do I get one with Broadwave? You have like completely embraced this global impact that is FernoSpazzin. How did you kind of initially have that happen, and speak to just embracing it and what it's done for you?
So how it initially happened, you know, cool thing about the music industry is that you sometimes when you get it popping and you work hard, a lot of lucky stuff happens to you, like naturally, you know, you land a cool placement. Of course, you know, that's how most people's things come back. You get a little bit of luck. And I got a little bit of luck because on one of the beats that blew up, not only did it blow up, which is a blessing in and of itself, but I got a huge artist in Brazil, Teto, you know, he got it popping. He used this tight beat and bro blew up. It was a great song. It was great music. And like you said, you know, rather than just sit there and say, oh, it's cool, it's a one-off little placement in Brazil, you know, I was captivated by it because I had never seen a song go viral like that. Never in the US. I was like, wow, like this is nuts. And I mean, you know, that captivated me alone. So I kind of dived into there and I thought about, and I've always been I've always actually, you know, it's funny when some of my first like placements were actually in Russia. And this was back in 2020. I landed a few, so I knew a little bit about going overseas and stuff. People from, you know, producers from Russia were a little bit of my original fan base, like years ago, like early 2020. And it was cool. I used to work there, but you know, after I got a little bit of luck, Dead lands a huge song. I've now hopped into this Brazilian rap scene deeply, and I love it. Love the people that work there. It's a new, it's engaged. It's fun. It's fun to work in for me because, you know, I look at it and it's emerging. It's bad. It's a new scene. It's like if rap just started. It's like 2016. You know, it feels like 2016 for me in Brazil. So it's cool because I'm bringing this like this American sound that we kind of we've been here for a little bit to Brazil now, and making the new scene, kind of pioneering the scene with them. And you know, all the rappers there are hella cool. Yeah, they interact with me. We get to make cool projects. I get to, you know, work on songs back and forth with them more than just sending a loop. You know, definitely get my own beats in there. And I embrace a new side of my brand, my personality too. I now have, you know, I now have a market in Brazil like that. And and I'm not just going to ignore that just because it's a different country. I don't even speak Portuguese. I speak Spanish. Definitely helps. You know, that's one thing. I couldn't be doing this in Russia. Like, right. I wish I could have done this in Russia, but I can't. But you know, in Brazil, it's different because I'm lucky, you know, I'm from Miami. Everybody speaks Spanish. Yeah. I'm Mexican too. So that's been helpful. And I you know, I bet in a year I'm gonna kind of be fluent in Portuguese at that point. Hopefully, you know, I want to, because that means that obviously I would have done a lot of good work there.
Definitely. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I'm slacking in that department. I need to get it up and start learning some other things. Uh, Typically we kind of close off with a lot of the interviews we do, just asking, what everyone has going on, kind of like outside of music, what's going on and the real life of FernoSpazzin. And I think that, that'll be a cool thing too, because I feel like a lot of producers who are really starting to get it going need some sort of help when it comes to like, balancing the whole thing. And I feel like you're somebody who does a really good job of that. So, how do you kind of balance everything and, outside of music, what's going on in the life of FernoSpazzin?
Cool. Yeah. So I turned 18 in February of this year.
18.
It was
It's
crazy,
funny because
man.
you're like, I made a few things on social media back in the day, but I'm a full grown adult now. So, and then you're like,
Yeah, I know. I just, because I've been with it for a while, and Miami gets you like that, yo. Like, but real right now. So I turned 18 February, graduated high school in May. Super fun. Kind of very glad I'm done with high school, yo. I feel like a new person in the last 4 months. Definitely, it has unlocked a new side of me. I have found so much more fulfillment and enjoyment in music. I really, in the last after graduating high school and kind of not having that stress on me, or more like, now I have a new sense of who I am. I feel like I feel a little bit older. I have more drive. That's why I've been working more so on my compositional skills. And you hear me talking a lot. You hear me talking a lot this interview. Kind of, I think big picture, and I'm about fundamentals. I'm a lot about fundamentals. And I used to not be like that, but I want to be more about fundamentals, because I know I'm good about riding trends and all that, but I'm trying to focus on my weaknesses, outside. So right now I just started uni. I'm at University of Miami. It's late, super late. My mom works here, which is why it worked out really well. I don't have to worry about too much about tuition and all that. And I get to study in business right now, in business analytics specifically, because actually back in high school I was a pretty good student, honestly, before the music stuff came. Like, I was ready to go into full like career. Then junior year, the music stuff came up, but I used to be good into data science and like programming, like AI, like machine learning, but like algorithm stuff. So
yeah,
I'm gonna study business analytics while I'm here. You can see me. I'm in the dorm room right now. Not the best living situation, but yo, it's making me. It's just tough. It's a tough living here, but it's fine, because I'm gonna be in my own apartment eventually. Obviously, I could be in there now if I wanted to, but this is a good experience for me to lock in work, be involved in have some new inspiration around me. I wouldn't want to come out of I wouldn't want to come out of high school, kind of, and just have to figure it out right now. I like having a little bit of structure in my life still, and I am actually, a lot of people don't. I see a lot of people discredit college. It's all about your situation. There's nothing bad about either going or not going, but if you know your situation, this is the best situation. So for me and for growing, so it's lit.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even on like for me on the business side, just kind of looking around, there's a ton of people who are really successful that haven't gone to college. There's a ton of people who have gone to
Definitely.
college, and that opened a lot of really cool doors for them, and they know so and so or so and so. For me personally, this doesn't mean it's the case for everybody, but college was definitely a really, really important time for me, both, what I learned in the classroom, but more importantly, just what I learned about myself and outside of the classroom.
That's the truth of it. That's the truth of it.
Yeah,
And it helps to be in an academic, in a scholarly setting. Like, look, that's the world I come from. I know a lot about it. It's helpful. My mom has taught me that. My mom has been is a college professor now after being a lawyer. So it's cool. I don't know. I evaluate a lot. I know this experience. Like, I told myself a few weeks ago, about my first or second week. I've only been in this dorm room for a month, and I only got a couple left. But I told myself, I'm gonna look back in a year and I'm gonna say, Dante, like this was some of the most fun. This was another critical point. I talked
yeah,
about that September 2021 is the next critical point, and it's cool. It's exciting. It motivates me.
yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's a really cool spot to kind of end off with.
Yeah.
Whoever's watching, up and coming producers, whoever, take watching this to be your critical point. Build on this. Think about the
Yeah.
tools you have around you. Sharpen the tools you got around you. Build around you. But shout out the GOAT, man. FernoSpazzin. Too many
Nah,
gems.
Carl, shout out you, bro. You're the best publisher in this world, bro. Couldn't ask for anybody else.
So we're trying to make it happen. Definitely trying to make it happen. But no, we appreciate it big time. A lot of really, really, really solid information on here, you know, outside of, you know, the platinum plaques and the this and that, the how to maneuver to get to that point, which I think is something that gets really overlooked. We appreciate it big time. You're the GOAT. The producer room, powered by producer culture. FernoSpazzin, hit them up if you need anything. It's time.